Like roadkill?
I was just like laying there like, oh my
And open with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks for coming to our meeting tonight. This is the March 5th, 2025 meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission. And we do ask if you're going to address the commission, Lisa will swear you in and then step forward and use the microphone up there. Roll call, please.
Mr. Boggs.
Here.
Mr. Bush.
Here.
Mr. Browning.
Here.
Mr. Mancino.
Here.
Mr. Rogers. Here. Mr. Smiley.
Here.
Mr. Truax.
Here.
Thank you. Perfect attendance tonight. Yay. Always good. Moving on the agenda, item number 4, old business. We have none, correct?
Correct.
And then item 5, new business. The first item, preliminary plan application PP 25001, and we have a request to table.
That's true. You should have the request on your dais there. From our understanding, the applicant's still working on the traffic impact study and making a few adjustments based on preliminary feedback, so they would like to table it tonight.
Okay. Anybody have any questions or concerns about that? Or if not, then I'll move that the preliminary plan application PP 25001 be tabled.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Mancino.
Yes.
Mr. Browning.
Yes.
Mr. Boggs.
Yes.
Mr. Smiley.
Yes.
Mr. Bush.
Yes.
Ms. Rogers. Yes. Mr. Truax.
Yes.
That motion passes. That was all the new business. Item number 6 on the agenda, other business, we have a concept plan.
Yes, so Miranda Homes, they have the Heritage Town Center townhomes concept plan that we have seen once before. They made some changes, and I believe Connie, you're here on behalf of that. So we'll hand this over to you if you'd like. You can kind of.
Well, I don't know how to do that.
Oh, you just use the left and right keys, or I could do it too.
Yeah. You can do it. Did you understand? Oh, I don't.
Lisa did it.
You swear or affirm that the truth will prove nothing but the truth. I do, thank you. I'm Connie Klima. I represent the potential developer of the property, PO Box 991, Pataskala, Ohio. I don't know how many, a couple years ago or so, I was here when we rezoned this portion of the property that is now part of the center to the south. It's actually sub-area E, and it's currently zoned for retail commercial uses in the center area. The Miranda came to see you, I think, a meeting or two ago to talk about actually having single-family attached homes there and using it for a residential use. And I am here to talk to you a little bit more about that. This particular sub-area, I think one of the attractions for me anyway is the fact that it is long and deep, and that any development has not much presence on 310. And so what happens here is like the subdivision that's to the north and to the west of it, it becomes tucked into a nice corridor area where if buffered correctly and landscaped can be very attractive. In your comp plan, this is considered a medium density mixed use area. And in that particular comp idea, it talks about having buildings 1 to 3 stories, up to 10 units per acre residential, and also talks about all types of buffering and things like that. I heard you say earlier that you're a visual person, and I am too. So I took an excerpt out of your comp plan, and this is the density, medium density mixed use area. And I thought it was very interesting because if you look at the pictures here, you see two residential examples and then the retail next to it, which this area is supposed to be able to have, like an inner city type area. And what I thought was interesting about these pictures is the residential units that I'm going to show you. I think you've seen some before that Ron has looked at, but also the look of this retail. And you think about what's south of there and the restaurants, and then the commercial area in the center circle, and then the residential around it. Years ago, I'm going to talk about this briefly, I was the attorney that represented the original landowner and the idea of this being somewhat of a central area for residential people to be able to walk to commercial areas. And I'm actually very excited that this type of a housing development is being considered there. This particular, if you look at that picture, I want you to think about how this looks very similar to that that example that's given in your comp plan. And also, the fact that I think that we talked about up to 3 stories in this area. This is just a 2-story product. And it's also, as I said, these will be condos. This is a for sale type project where they will build the units. There will not be condos. They will actually be fee simple lots with 0 lot line with an HOA. And another attractive thing for the city is the street will be private. So be maintained by the homeowners. There is no direct access out of 310 as before, only emergency access. The access is to the south through the center itself. And the 40 units is less than the 10. It's 9.2 units per acre. I think somebody had asked about trash before. Just like the homes, this is you'll have public trash taken care of as the city residents do. And you have, I think, in your application, right? I sent you this plan. If you don't have it, I'll give it to you again. Does anybody need it? Just a drawing? Okay. Another thing I want to point out is when we were here before, we worked hard because we were going to have a retail commercial area. We were very sensitive about it being different from residential. And we created at that time a buffering area that was pretty good. And in that same buffer area, same setbacks, same buffer areas, same requirements are on this project. So we have the 15-foot, the 25-foot, and the same setbacks from 310 that is currently permitted or required under the existing zoning. This here, I suggested, since they invited me to represent them, that I not just come in the first time with an application. I said I'd like to come here first with the concept plan, even though they'd already done it. And we have changed it a bit. We've created the area in the rear, which is a retaining pond, but also an area that will have a gazebo, a park type area, and then also have a pond area up closer to the road. And that's about it, I think. I'm here to give you that information and get some feedback so I can hopefully come back and see you again next month.
Okay. Questions, Tim?
Connie, this came up before, correct? You had brought this before us before, is that correct?
I wasn't here. It was Stephen Hicks, I believe, came in from Rhonda and showed you, I think he had more units at that time, and also there were some suggestions, which I think he was trying to address.
I remember this, and I remember one of the concerns that was raised was around secondary access. I guess just a comment, I am concerned about the traffic flow out of here. It looks like I see your emergency, but it looks like your primary access is either going to feed through that parking lot somehow, or that, I don't know what you want to call it, the exit there that's kind of triangle shaped or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Just a comment, certainly concerns about traffic flow in and out of there.
Can I address that?
Please, yes.
Before I forget. Okay. That was actually when it's currently zoned to be a commercial center there. That would have about the same square footage. And it was going to be a restaurant and some other retail uses as it's currently zoned. And when we came through to do that, the city wanted to make certain that we didn't have access on the 310, that we use that central scheme and use that access, just so you know that's where that came from, was to make it part of the complex itself, and since it's more controlled through that central area.
Where do you think a school bus would be picking kids up there?
I don't know that answer. I was thinking about that today. Where right now is the school bus picking up the kids that are in the apartments? Do you know? I'll find that out. I'll have that when I.
The ones across the street, they just stop on 310.
That's what I thought, yes.
Okay. My only other questions would be to Jack about the sewer part of it, where this puts us in our plan.
So this is 40 units. I think at last count, there were 65, 66. We've had the veterinary hospital, Scooter's Coffee, so I'll knock some off of that. I think that's about maybe 4 or 5 units worth. So
We're getting close.
getting close.
And isn't it true, well, I'll ask you some details about that later, but yeah. I know that I did check about that ahead of time, and I know that right now, we are not competing with much right now, so I think we're fine with the 40.
I may be wrong. It just feels like in sub area D there, that thoroughway there, you're asking a lot of it. That's all. Just may be wrong. It's sure a traffic study or something may pop something out of that.
Sure, thanks.
I'm good.
Thanks. David?
The medium density photos that you provided for us are really nice. The big difference between this and this is pedestrian oriented and 3-sided architecture, and this is maybe 1-sided, barely. It's all garages really in the front. And in the proposed plan, I don't see a lot of pedestrian amenities. I see a lot of driveways that go across the sidewalks and not much more to provide what you described. So the description you have doesn't really match the exhibits.
And I'll tell you why I'm saying what I'm saying. I don't believe that this little sub area of 4-point-some acres should have both residential and commercial right there. I believe that it's all part of that larger A, B, C, and D, yeah.
But I don't see any pedestrian sort of links to that part, to the retail or to the other residential areas. So that's,
I understand, yeah. So there are sidewalks in front, and you're saying you would like to see more of, there's a sidewalk that does go down to go to the commercial area along the drive there, but you would like to see, can you show me what you think?
well, you said this was kind of, the idea was to be pedestrian oriented.
Yeah.
This is not pedestrian oriented.
I'm asking you, how would it?
It wouldn't be garages in the front. All garages in the front, it wouldn't be, or they would be maybe offset to create some massing changes and ins and outs. And I guess just some more pedestrian friendly design. And also, this is, this little rendering, the side elevations of these are blank. There's no openings, there's no
So I
relief.
understand, and I've written,
Yeah.
4-sided architecture,
Yeah.
but of course, the garages are facing inward to each other, not so the side is what you're really gonna see, so.
Well, yeah, and then when you drive in, you see the garage.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
all you see. So there's not much in the way of architecture. I'd like to see more, something, some attempt at nicer design than just garages on the front.
Okay, so the design of the building itself is what you're saying, is, okay. See, I shouldn't have.
So, something that's
What's
more,
wrong with you?
something that tries to rise to the level of what you showed us here.
Sure, okay, gotcha. Okay, thanks.
Anything else, David?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Before we get off of the pedestrian, I know this is just a concept plan, but it shows sidewalk on the one side, but I don't see sidewalks on both sides. Is that just the way it's drawn, or are they planning
I
sidewalks on
didn't
both
catch
sides?
that, but I'll check.
Okay. Jerry?
That was one thing that I noticed. Yeah, there wasn't sidewalks on both sides. I do know that triangle's gone because that's now that used to be a right in, right out. That's gone now.
Yeah.
So it is it's a full access intersection. So that makes sense tying it in over there. I know that we had brought up issues before about the trash truck. How's he going to get back in there? I know they've left a turnaround, but also, as we all know, if more people show up and that people start parking in that area, and then all of a sudden, how's the trash truck going to get in, back out, and move around. You know, we had kind of asked before about the possibility of making a circle back there and allowing the truck to come around. But I also know that he's going to lose 5 units by doing that, or the pond, one or the other. So, but that was one of the concerns we talked about before is, you know, asking the trash truck, or if the bus drives all the way back into there, you know, how are they going to back up? Because we all know that turnaround is going to end up with cars in it eventually if someone has overflow of people. Just something to think about, Connie. I understand the rendering is just a rendering that we'll see, that finals will be delivered to the zoning department later. But, you know, I've asked myself a bazillion times, what, if not this, what? And I've never come up with a good idea of what either. So I think it's a good thought. I just think there needs to be a little bit more thought put forth on how that trash truck's going to get out of there, because it is going to get crammed in there.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I go back a minute?
Sure.
Because what Jerry said just reminded me of something, that the Hammerhead dead end drives, that there's units on the end there with driveways. What I've noticed in other developments where when it snows, the snow plows push all the snow up there and block those people's driveways. So I think that we may have to make some kind of a deeper hammerhead there for the snow plows to pile up snow so that it's not in front of the end units driveways.
He's going to have to push it somewhere.
Yeah.
It's a good
Also,
point.
is that
They
a
could
public or
bring in a
private
flamethrower
road?
and melt it.
Or a flamethrower.
The HOA would be.
Jerry mentioned the parking too, and that was one of the concerns I had by looking at this. So somebody in Building 5 had a big crowd, a big party, and you know where are their guests going to park? All the way up at the other end and then walk, and there are only 5 spaces there anyway, by the
Well,
mailboxes.
hopefully they're gonna park over at the restaurant and then walk over and then come back and get a nightcap.
That would be a long walk for it.
Have you been in that parking lot lately?
I actually have.
Yeah, it's pretty full anymore now.
Anyway, that was a concern,
Okay.
something to look
Got it.
at there. Frank?
Guess.
I think you guys got most of my comments here. I don't think Building 4 has a sidewalk either on there. Yeah, just, I mean, the parking's always a big concern. Especially kind of being on the one side there, and then the turnarounds for trash trucks, buses, Amazon delivery. I mean, there's a lot of traffic coming in there. And, you know, especially with that kind of being like your only feature is I can see kids wanting to play, you know, in that little grassy area with the gazebo. There'd be a lot of kids there. You don't want them to get, you know, accidentally backed into. So
Okay.
this is something like that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure the best way to incorporate it without taking out some of the featers, but it's something, you know, I'm sure. That,
Parking garage. No.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, got it.
Yeah, I think there's my only feedback there.
Thanks.
Great comments. I have a question about sub-area D. What do you foresee would go in there? Is anything planned to be in the future?
Some area D area? I have no idea there. You mean that open space?
Yeah,
No, I don't know.
we don't know what to foresee there. What would you picture there?
It sounds like they should have access parking.
Yeah. Trash and parking.
Light bulb.
Maybe that's where that garage goes, right?
Bus pickup. School bus.
We'll see.
The other comment I would have would be Building 4, being, there's some trees there in between Hazelton, Etna, but are there patios back there? Are there, what do you see
Well, we
those
were
looking
talking about
like?
that because you're from the first side and there you see the back and the front there like that. So we're working on that. Yep. It needs to be, I did in Redwood across the street, then that's when they ended up putting some type of a patio and everything out front, so it looked more user friendly.
The front's face, the porch is face,
Yep, yep,
face 310. It does look more welcoming. We're
yep.
still looking at patios in the distance,
Mhm.
but that would just be probably eyesores.
Yep,
An
I get you.
eyesore with the back patio facing there. So
Yeah.
unless you had some kind of mounding or something to sort of help,
Yeah, it needs to be pretty.
but I don't know how you would do that with just a few trees. So that's really all I have on top of what they have. So
Okay.
Thank you. Alex?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify the setbacks. I see a couple of numbers here, but they're like further up. Is this 79 feet setback from the road?
Um,
Or is it, because it says 36-foot parking setback and 43-foot building setback?
yeah, that's,
So is it just total 43 feet then,
yeah,
setback?
yeah, it's not an additional.
Okay,
That's from when we did the retail center.
right. And I'm not certain, Jack, has that changed since then? The setback requirements for the
This is a
residential?
PDD,
This,
yeah.
this was done as a planned development district, so
Okay.
essentially they could propose whatever setbacks that they felt were appropriate as long as the commission and council agreed to those.
Okay. All right. That's what I wanted to make sure of was like, because I know that we've had some discussion on setbacks historically, and so I wanted
Sure.
to ask that question. The other thing I wanted to kind of poke a bit of a hole in your medium density mixed use images over here as compared to what you're proposing here.
Mhm.
Most of these are apartment complexes. And so as a result, they are multi-unit, vertical and horizontal, whereas your units are only horizontal. And therefore that makes it much more compact in the sense that there is more units in the space versus if you put an apartment complex, you could fit 20 units in a building the size of building 5, right? So I just want to point that out that like there is a difference between what we're seeing in these images versus what is being proposed. Not that it's wrong,
Mhm.
not that it wouldn't be allowed, right?
Sure. I
Just,
understand what you're saying. The reality is in this particular district, you're allowed to have single family,
Mhm.
detached, single family, attached, apartment,
yeah,
retail, and commercial. So it comes down to, and I would imagine that if you were more into where you actually have some stores included in the building, it would be more of the multi-use apartments in what you were saying. But
yeah. And I guess to that point, I do get a bit concerned about, as everybody else has kind of expressed, right? The number of units and just knowing from living in a neighborhood not that far away and it's detached and how crowded the streets get there, to expect this to be somehow different, I can't imagine that's the case. And so another question I would want to ask is, obviously it's a private road, so like to some extent there's not a lot of control as far as what happens there after it's built, but the width of the road for the residents to make sure that there's enough room that if they do park on the road, that they can drive through the middle of them. Because I just see that even in my neighborhood where, again, we're completely detached, single homes on relatively large lots. And you still have cars that are right across from each other. And like, I drive through them in a regular pickup truck and I feel like I'm going to scrape on either side sometimes.
Mhm.
So I can't imagine if that road's too narrow, that's going to work well for any kind of services.
yeah, I'm sure that the road is the width that is required under the code.
Okay.
But we'll check all that.
That's really my two big things.
See, this is a good reason I came for a concept review.
Another point on the street width, I mean, it will be dependent, but I would imagine the fire district would say no parking,
Yeah, that's.
at least on one side.
Sure.
And of course,
Yeah.
private street, who's going to enforce it? That's the other side
Yeah.
of the discussion too, as you said.
Yeah, it would be up to the HOA to enforce that, which would potentially get dicey then.
Any other
That's it.
comments?
One more.
Yeah.
Connie, do you have any plans for fencing to the west or the north with those ponds and you got family units behind them to the north?
In the current zoning, there is an actual fence. They were not excited about putting a fence up. They thought that it should be just really densely buffered, which would be shown in our plan. But I mean, that's something, I mean, it could be different even at that location. I was just thinking, I'm sorry, but when I come home, I live in a subdivision, and when I come home at night now, since it's a little warmer, they actually have nets up across the street where they're playing tennis and everything. And you know, the kids know they run, take it down, and then put it back up. Or they're playing hockey out there, you know.
That's
Kids
good.
are
It's
kids.
sort of cool.
Yep, kids
Yeah.
are kids.
Yeah, but that's how it goes. Roller skating, all kinds of fun stuff.
I know this has been fairly interactive. You have questions that we haven't addressed?
Well, I mean, you think there's a chance, right? If I come back and address some of these things, am I wasting my client's time? Are you, I mean, you know, I like this area, I like this area actually more for what we're going to propose now than what it is. I think having a suitable housing area that is for sale is an attractive thing if it's done right. And I think it could be a great place to live. I think people would probably love to live there. The proximity to everything that's going on and yet sort of buffered at the same time. So if we create really good access and address some of these issues, I mean, are you excited about it or you just think it's a terrible idea?
Well, understand, you know the rules. We're not going to tell you.
Okay.
That's just the
What do you guys
standard
think?
process.
I think
Nice.
put some realism in it.
Yeah.
I understand that there's code and there's zoning, but the reality is you're going to have UPS vehicles, Amazon trucks pulling in their parked, as they said, trash trucks and people trying to navigate around it. Kids walking to the school bus, maybe at a time where a trash truck or Amazon truck. Just put some realism in it to set the community up for success.
Okay, that's a great thing to do.
Yes, ma'am.
Two other questions, I guess. One, has there been engagement with the neighbors all the way around
Nope.
on what the plan is? Okay.
No.
All right. And then, since we didn't give you a yes, no, thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever, we can't do that, but you were expecting to come back next month with a more formal plan? Is that what your
Yeah,
current
in
thinking
fact,
is?
you know, I was gonna listen tonight. The next application date is Friday.
Right.
So I don't know if we can get, I mean, they wanted me to try to get something in by Friday, but I don't know if I can.
Okay.
Because then I think we would be off to the May meeting, so I have to find out.
Okay.
I do have one more question. I'm sorry. Don't know why I didn't ask this. Are these 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom?
3-bedroom.
3-bedroom. So you would expect a full family.
I don't
So-
know, I mean, you, a full family, sure, or
Yeah.
maybe not, yeah.
So the number of potential students, the impact on that, I'm guessing every one of those would have children in it.
School district feedback is what you're
Yeah,
thinking?
Yeah.
school district
Yeah.
School
feedback.
district will handle that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Put it on my list, because I do have it on my other list, though, I do think that, I asked for that number, but you don't have it. Okay.
All right, thanks. I don't know, we don't normally, this is not being a formal application, we don't always ask for public comment. We do have members of the public here tonight, and wanted to give you an opportunity. Is this the reason you're here, to talk about things?
We were here to
What?
talk about number 5, with this table.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, I wanted to say, see how it all goes.
okay.
What's the list now?
That's, yeah, across street. Yeah, across street.
That's my too, if you want to give me a call.
Were you here on this concept plan?
Well, it's not first time, but what are the expected sell prices of these?
I don't know that, because we haven't even narrowed down any of the design. I know it won't be, they're not gonna be low, I mean, it'll be, it's not be what we get, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Connie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got just a couple of administrative items on the agenda to go through. Well, I guess to ask, just to be sure, no other, for other business, right?
That's correct.
All right, item number 7, excuse the absences from the last meeting. We have 2. So we have Alex, I'll move that we excuse Alexander Smiley from the February 5th, 2025 meeting.
I second.
Have a second, thank you. Any discussion? Roll call,
Mr. Burring,
Yes.
Mr. Boggs,
yes?
Mr. Smiley,
Abstain.
Mr. Bush,
Yes.
Ms. Rogers,
Yes.
Mr. Truax,
Abstain.
Mr. Mancino.
Yes.
That motion passes. And we also have Jerry's. Welcome back.
Thank you.
I'll move that we excuse Jerry Truax from the February 5th, 2025 meeting.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Smiley,
Yes.
Ms. Rogers,
Yes.
Mr. Bush,
Yes.
Mr. Truax,
Abstain.
Mr. Boggs,
Yes,
Mr. Burring,
Yes.
Mr. Mancino.
Yes.
that motion passes. Item number 8, approval of the meeting minutes for the February 5th meeting. Everybody had a review of those minutes, and do you have additions or corrections?
I think the beginning, like, it has me as opening the meeting.
That was a pretty good trick.
It was a good trip.
He was mean to us.
Oh. Just so you know. Sorry. I just noticed it too, so.
How does that happen?
Anything else?
My name is missing an S on the end on the roll call. No big deal, but yeah. That's all I noticed.
All right. If there are no other corrections, then I'll move that the minutes of the February 5th, 2025 regular meeting be approved as amended. Hmm?
Or we did a second. I'm lost.
This was
You did
the,
that.
That was
I
the
just did the
first.
motion,
Okay,
Second.
and Frank just seconded.
thank you. Mr.
Discussion?
Boggs. Oh, I'm sorry.
Roll call.
Mr. Boggs,
Yes.
Mr. Burring,
Yes.
Mr. Truax,
Yes.
Mr. Smiley,
Yes.
Mr. Mancino,
Yes.
Ms. Rogers,
Yes.
Mr. Bush.
Yes.
That motion passes. Anything else tonight?
You promised us 9:30. What's up with that?
Well, I said, yeah, you know,
I'm still telling you it's 7:03.
still can't beat Jerry's record, though. All right. Anyone
I
else?
will make a motion that we adjourn to Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025.
Second.
Here a second.
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
yeah. Roll call.
Mr. Bush,
Yes.
Ms. Rogers,
Yes.
Mr. Smiley,
Yes.
Mr. Truax.
Yes.
Mr. Boggs,
Yes.
Mr. Burring,
Yes.
Mr. Mancino.
Yes.
Motion passes, and we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for coming.
It happens. It happens.
Table 5.